Are you going to sue Blake Lively too?
Into oblivion, Megan. Wait till you see this lawsuit. It's all going to be based on evidence. It's not going to be just a lawsuit. It's going to be the kind of lawsuit that is full of evidence, admissions, documents, which prove exactly what she did, because actually Blake Lively's publicist, Leslie Sloan, was planting stories negative to Justin. And all Justin wanted to do, and it's all through the text messages. If the New York Times apparently reviewed 1,000 or more pages of text messages, they would have seen it. Justin never wanted to hurt her, never wanted to be negative to her. He wanted to protect the film, he wanted to protect himself, and he wanted to protect her from making negative allegations about him that were made up and that they're proven in this case.
Blake Lively was completely caught off guard on live television when Bryan Freedman dropped a comment that left her momentarily speechless. It wasn't one of those times where her usual charm and quick wit could smooth things over. Instead, the unexpected remark turned the atmosphere into something almost surreal, freezing the moment like a strange pause in an otherwise routine day.
Worked with the New York Times. Her publicist worked directly with the New York Times. They shared illegally obtained text messages. They shared those together. They concocted a complaint that they filed with the Civil Rights Division. They omitted texts that would have provided context, texts that were in the exact same string that would have provided context of what was really going on. And in fact, they actually removed emojis from texts that show that there was satire and there was joking around by the PR crisis agents. I mean, the PR crisis...
Observers noticed that Blake Lively's usual sparkle seemed to dim, replaced by an expression that blended disbelief with a hint of ironic amusement. In a world where every word is analyzed and every reaction magnified, her brief silence spoke volumes far more than any scripted comeback could have. As the cameras kept rolling and the live audience hung on every moment, it became clear even the ever-poised Blake Lively wasn't immune to the unpredictable turns of live television. Who would have thought a single comment could leave a Hollywood icon, however briefly, so strikingly speechless?
Okay, so this is an excerpt from my new favorite book, which is the website that Justin Baldoni published, all about his correspondence with Blake Lively. And this is one of my favorite excerpts with my new favorite Game of Thrones character, Blake Lively. Are you ready for it? And him serving it back to her is just as important. You don't usually see both the man and the woman with such agency and humor. Anyway, I can act it out for you next week to make sure it comes through. Or I can send it now. Let me know what you prefer. XX. To which Justin Baldoni responded, "Sorry, I was just crying my eyes out as kids and family just left for another 5 weeks and it was a shit show. Heart emoji, heart emoji, heart emoji."
What was meant to be a routine live broadcast quickly veered off script when the stage became a platform for the unexpected. Bryan Freedman, known for his sharp tongue and talent for stirring up drama, seized the moment with a comment that was as bold as it was unfiltered. It was a scene marked by a sudden clash of spontaneity and celebrity, a live-wire moment no one saw coming. Leaning into the microphone with a knowing grin, Bryan delivered his words like a truth bomb, slicing through the studio's background buzz with surgical precision. There was no room for pretense. With his trademark nonchalance, he touched on a subject that hit uncomfortably close to home for Blake, one that had long been the subject of hushed speculation but had never been so brazenly aired in the unforgiving glare of live television.
Freedman, Justin Baldoni's attorney, has just shot back at Blake Lively's motion to dismiss. Blake is abusing the legal system. 3 exclamation points. Bryan Freedman tells TMZ Miss Lively's recent motion to dismiss herself from the self-concocted disaster.
The comment came as an unexpected twist in what had, until that point, been a light exchange wrapped in polite banter. Bryan, with his trademark irreverence and a devilish glint in his eye, dropped a remark that might have seemed trivial on paper, but his smug delivery gave it an unmistakable edge, laced with subtext as his words echoed through the studio. The camera cut to Blake Lively. Her reaction was instant and impossible to miss, an expression that clearly said, *seriously, you can't be serious.' Her eyes widened just enough to betray that she wasn't simply registering the comment, she was fighting the instinct to snap back with a perfectly sharp retort. For that brief moment, the glossy facade of Hollywood slipped, revealing something raw and unfiltered, a genuine human reaction even the most seasoned star couldn't have rehearsed.
How she bullied her way through the process to take over the movie and used her PR people to try and destroy Justin. There's a number of different defendants here. Stephanie Jones will be all over this complaint. That is the PR agent who was supposed to be working for Justin Baldoni. Leslie Sloan, who's another PR agent who will be part of this lawsuit. That was Blake Lively's. Blake Lively will be sued, and we're carefully considering other people that will be sued also. Ryan Reynolds, for sure.
Bryan, clearly relishing the chaos he'd sparked, leaned further into the moment. Each word he spoke dripped with a kind of self-assured flair that demanded attention, feeding the tension that had begun to swell in the room. What had started as casual banter quickly morphed into something far more electric. An undercurrent of unpredictability charged the air. The audience, a blend of industry veterans and devoted fans, sat riveted, eyes wide, breaths held, each wondering just how far this unscripted moment would go. Some chuckled at the irony. It's not every day that someone like Blake Lively, effortlessly poised and always prepared, is caught speechless by an offhand comment. Others, sensing the weight of what had just happened, watched with bated breath, knowing this was the kind of moment destined for headlines, viral clips, and the punchlines of late-night monologues for weeks to come.
Bryan Freedman, Justin Baldoni's attorney, has just shot back at Blake Lively's motion to dismiss. Blake is abusing the legal system. 3 exclamation points. Bryan Freedman tells TMZ Ms. Lively's recent motion to dismiss herself from the self-concocted disaster she initiated is one of the most abhorrent examples of abusing our legal system. Freedman says stringent rules are put into place to protect the innocent and allow individuals to rightfully defend themselves, while noting laws are not meant to be twisted and curated by privileged elites to fit their own personal agenda. In his statement to TMZ, Freedman reiterated, as we said yesterday in response to Mr. Reynolds' same cowardly measures, we will continue to hold Ms. Lively accountable for her actions of pure malice, which include falsely accusing my clients of harassment and retaliation. Freedman summed it up by saying Blake's fantastical claims will be swiftly debunked as discovery moves forward, easily disproved with actual evidentiary proof.
Behind the scenes, a production team scrambled to regain control as the segment slipped off script. Directors exchanged knowing looks, and producers urgently whispered instructions into earpieces, all keenly aware they were witnessing a moment that could change the landscape of live television. On camera, the brief flash of shock on Blake's face was swiftly masked by a practiced smile, perfectly polished, yet hollow. It was the kind of smile that silently said, "I see what you did there, and I'm not exactly amused." If we could have heard her inner thoughts, they might have been a rapid-fire string of sarcastic comebacks and sharp one-liners, each ready to deflect the sudden spotlight. But in that instant, no words came. The effortless charm, the quick wit all gave way to a silence that spoke louder than any clever reply ever could.
He's the bad guy. And just to lay it out for the audience in a little bit more detail, what she's claiming is that even though she was a much bigger star than Justin Baldoni, who I never heard of before this lawsuit, she's the much bigger star, and she's married to an even bigger star than she is, Ryan Reynolds, that she came in and onto this project and started to get harassed and mistreated by Justin and some others, and that when she then demanded that all of her concerns be rectified, that he did it, but that he was basically lying in wait for when the film would get released in case she went public with what happened, that he and his PR team determined to bury her, to ruin her, and that this wave of bad press we did see about Blake Lively when the film came out this past summer was not organic. It was totally orchestrated by Justin and his team, and they've gotten their hands on a bunch of texts.
The conversation drifted on, as if the awkward moment had been nothing more than a brief blip in an otherwise seamless exchange. Bryan, ever the provocateur, continued to lace his remarks with subtle jabs, each one edging closer to the line, building on his initial comment with a calculated charm. His tone stayed breezy and casual, as though he was simply trading light banter with an old friend, but there was no mistaking the mischief underneath. There was a clear intent to chip away at the polished public image of one of Hollywood's most beloved stars. Blake's responses, when they came, were composed and cool, revealing nothing of the tension simmering just beneath the surface. She delivered her lines with the poise of someone well-versed in the art of damage control, graceful, measured, and just detached enough to keep things from boiling over. It was the kind of performance celebrities perfect under the harsh scrutiny of live television, seamless on the outside, even as the storm brews quietly within.
He's the bad guy, and just to lay it out for the audience in a little bit more detail, what she's claiming is that even though she was a much bigger star than Justin Baldoni, who I never heard of before this lawsuit, she's the much bigger star, and she's married to an even bigger star than she is, Ryan Reynolds, that she came in and onto this project and started to get harassed and mistreated by Justin and some others, and that when she then demanded that all of her concerns be rectified, that he did it, but that he was basically lying in wait for when the film would get released, in case she went public with what happened, that he and his PR team determined to bury her, to ruin her, and that this wave of bad press we did see about Blake Lively when the film came out this past summer was not organic. It was totally orchestrated by Justin and his team, and they've gotten their hands on a bunch of texts.
As the segment progressed, the atmosphere began to shift subtly at first, then unmistakably. Each time Bryan spoke, his words seemed to ripple through the studio, prompting a fleeting silence, a stifled laugh, a collective breath held just a second too long. There was a growing sense in the room that they weren't just watching an interview, they were witnessing a moment unfold in real time. Unscripted and unpredictable, the real impact lay not just in what Bryan said, but how he said it with a precision and ease that made the remark land all the more sharply. In a world where every word is analyzed, every expression magnified, even the smallest misstep can shift the narrative, and on this day it did. Bryan's bold comment didn't just throw Blake Lively off balance, it altered the entire rhythm of the exchange, exposing a rare crack in the carefully maintained facade of celebrity composure.
Lively writes, I can send you my pass at the roof, or just read with you when we get together next week. Let me know what you prefer, smiley face. If you knew me in person longer, you'd have a sense of just how flirty and yummy the ball busting would play. It's my love language, spicy and playfully bold, never with teeth.
Despite the simmering tension beneath the surface, the show moved forward, adhering to its carefully crafted script. The host of it, the consummate professional, did his best to redirect the energy, weaving in humor and breezy commentary in an effort to smooth over the disruption and return the segment to safer ground. But the moment had already slipped past the point of no return. The studio audience, now abuzz with hushed whispers and sidelong glances, couldn't ignore the unspoken drama that had just unfolded. Meanwhile, social media lit up in real time as viewers and commentators rushed to weigh in. Tweets and posts poured in by the second, some amused, others outraged. Many simply stunned, each offering a fresh take on the unscripted exchange. Within minutes, memes began to circulate, capturing the instant when a single offhand comment transformed an ordinary broadcast into an unforgettable, unscripted spectacle.
Baldoni, because he treated me well and did nothing wrong, and I allowed him to sit in a basement with his family because I was starstruck by Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, that Blake Lively was the aggressor in this now epic showdown. Was it right after was it when Baldoni dropped the countersuit? Was it when Bryan Freedman put up the website with the 170 pages and all the text? Or was it right away when the Times wrote?
Right away. I've always had an intuition about her, and I've always had an intuition about Taylor Swift and like the branding of the nice girl stuff. And something just didn't. I went through Justin Baldoni's Instagram, and he just seemed like a puppy. And I read it just didn't add up to me that this guy was secretly just dying to talk about pornography all the time and talk about his porn addiction and wanted her to look at pornography. I'm going, this is not the Instagram feed I'm looking through. And I went back years.
In the days that followed, the incident became fuel for endless discussion. Talk shows, podcasts, and online forums all eagerly dissected the clash between Bryan's audacious remark and Blake's surprising silence. Analysts debated whether Bryan's comment was a calculated provocation or just an offhand slip, a rare, unfiltered moment in an industry where every word is meticulously crafted. Some saw it as a deliberate attempt to shake up the polished, a facade of celebrity culture, revealing the vulnerabilities hidden beneath the glamour. Others argued it was simply a misunderstanding, magnified by an audience hungry for drama. Whatever the truth, one thing was undeniable. The moment had left a lasting impression on the world of live television.
It was monstrous what she did, and she's got to pay for it.
As the weeks went by, industry insiders buzzed with speculation about the fallout. Some argued the incident might prompt publicists to rethink how they prepare their clients for live interviews, placing even greater emphasis on quick-witted comebacks and unshakable composure. Others suggested it could ignite a new era of on-air spontaneity, encouraging hosts and guests to take more risks and veer off script. Meanwhile, late-night hosts gleefully mined the moment for comedy gold, weaving it into their monologues with a perfect mix of sarcasm and charm. With every mention, the story only grew, turning what might have been a fleeting blip into a lasting cultural touchstone celebrated by fans of live television's unpredictable, often ironic, magic.
I think Ryan Reynolds has a few secrets in the closet too that they don't want people to be taking a look at, and it's going to destroy these people. That's why they wanted this attorney's eyes only privilege. And basically we can say anything, the public can't see it, just the attorneys. It was kind of a radical thing to want, and they were arguing that, careers could be ruined. Well, what could be ruined? You might be a little embarrassed, but to ruin a career, there has to be some level of fraud in terms of how you're presenting yourself to the public and who you are in private. And so that kind of a desperate sort of a pleading, which was to do something that was abnormal and file for this attorney eyes only, which they didn't give them. He kind of half-waited and said, according to medical records, which is self-explanatory. But that lets me know that they're scared, and they're not going to admit that until they lose the dismissals. And then I think they're going to want to settle.
The episode quickly became a case study in the delicate dance between candor and decorum. Bryan Freedman's comment, delivered with a knowing smirk and a sly wink, not only disrupted the flow of conversation but also cracked the carefully crafted image of one of Hollywood's brightest stars. While Blake Lively's silence was brief, its impact was anything but fleeting. For those watching, the moment perfectly captured the unpredictable nature of live television, a reminder that beneath every polished facade lies the potential for unscripted brilliance, or at the very least a sharp twist of irony. There was no grand finale that night, just a series of exchanged glances, stifled chuckles, and an unspoken understanding that sometimes the best moments on live TV are the ones nobody sees coming. In hindsight, the incident has been celebrated as much for its humor as for its boldness.